Take a moment to think about how much you love your animals. Whether you have a dog, cat, hamster, snake, or are particularly fond of a family member or friend's pet, all of us have a special place in our hearts for animals. Now try to imagine that you were no longer allowed to have that pet in the place that you lived, that you were forced to choose between uprooting your life and keeping your companion. Breed-specific legislation forces people to make this decision every day. Breed-specific legislation, or BSL, is a citywide ban on breeds and is an ineffective way of promoting community safety and preventing dog attacks. BSL should be banned on the federal level and replaced with more effective strategies for promoting community safety, such as that place more responsibility on the owner and veer away from dog discrimination. Take a look at some of these pictures. How many of you feel threatened by the faces that you see? No matter how lovable they may look, all of these dogs are banned from living in Denver because of the potential threat that they pose to society. Denver passed its breed-specific legislation in 1989, and although Colorado banned BSL in 2004, Denver appealed this and reinstated it a few years later. Countless studies have been done to show that BSL does nothing to reduce dog attacks. One of the large problems with BSL is that pit bulls aren't an actual breed. They're a subgroup of the terrier breed. So dogs of similar lineage, such as boxers and labs, are often miscategorized as such. This happens so often, according to Kristen Swan in her BSL review in the UMCK Law Review Journal, because much of the language includes or any mix of the breeds, as does Denver's. With such vague descriptions for categorizing the dogs, such as shape or length of the fur, shape of the tail, and physical characteristics, how is this legislation just? Rottweilers, German Shepherds, and other dogs have been shown to society in the past as dogs that should be feared, while it should be the owners, regardless of the breed, that should be publicly criticized when their pets get into bad situations. It is the responsibility of the owner to ensure that their dog is well trained, safe, and in good situations at all times. Dogs behave relatively to how their owners respond to their actions. Pit bulls are incredibly obedient when trained properly, and if their owner praises them for showing love, affection, listening skills, things of that nature, the dog will excel in displaying these characteristics. While unquestionably different than sexism, racism, and other biases that are so prominent in our culture, the underlying moral message remains the same. It's simply unjust to discriminate against an entire group based off of their physical characteristics. These bans only reinforce incorrect and fearful stigmas about pit bulls and other banned breeds. Devin Bernstein, in his Animal Law Review Journal, states that this legislation shows that pit bulls and other banned breeds carry inherent traits such as aggression, and that they can live their lives as perfect model citizens and great companions and still be just as much of a threat as the next pit bull to society. This legislation offers no hope of changing the way that society views banned breeds. It only underlines the statement that they will always be a danger to society, regardless of their actions. The issues that BSL attempts to solve are not accomplished through this legislation. And there are much more effective ways of promoting community safety. One reason that pit bulls get such a bad rap is because many people associate their owners with things such as drugs and violence. This too is an unfair stereotype and is no more justified than banning an entire group of dogs for aggression based off of the way that they look. That being said, I'd like to underline the fact that owners have an unbelievable influence over their pets. Pit bulls are incredibly loyal dogs. They simply want to please their owner in the best way possible. No matter how aggressive a dog is, the chances of an attack are slim to none with an attentive, responsible owner. Funding VSL is costly, and putting that funding towards spaying and neutering funds, educational classes, and training courses is a much more effective use of these resources. VSL costs taxpayers in the form of enforcing legislation, kenneling dogs, their medical expenses and food, and legal fees. Because pit bulls are legal in so many cities, an overwhelming amount are abandoned or put into shelters. Offering free spay and neuter clinics in and around areas where pit bulls are illegal will greatly reduce the number that are displaced because of improper housing opportunities. Although nobody should get a pit bull or any large dog without the preparation and means to care for it, training classes and educational workshops about what makes this breed so special and how to properly care for it will greatly reduce the number of poor situations that these pets are being put into. Pit bulls and other banned dogs should be treated with love instead of seen through harsh and untrue stereotypes. I have never met a dog as loving, loyal, cuddly, or childlike as my American Staffordshire boxer mix. He deserves as much of a chance as any other dog to be accepted by the rest of society. I encourage all of you to take a stand with me and help end VSL on a federal level and help end breed discrimination nationwide.